A new hero emerges for the Temple men's team as Mo Keita and the Owls needed every inch and every second in a win over the South Florida Bulls.
Daniel, 4-3, the runner up off the mark, and that's the ball game.
And the women's team needs more than just regulation down in Louisiana.
I'm Courts in Session beat reporter Haley Smith live at the Liacouras Center. Men's hoop has done a great job of keeping fans on the edge of their seats with close game after close game. I'll take a look at how they keep pulling off the highest of highs soon after the lowest of lows.
And I'm Tamar Stubbs. Later in the show, I'll be selecting my men's and women's American Conference All-Star starters. Courts in Session is live and starts right now.
Hello and welcome into yet another edition of Courts in Session right here in the friendly confines of TV Studio 3. As always, I'm Pat Dallahan alongside my main man, Xavier Adams.
It's been a bounce-back week for both the Temple men's and women's basketball teams. Both teams suffered tough American Conference losses last week, and both teams bounced back with thrilling down-to-the-wire wins just days later over this past weekend. Starting with the men's squad, the Owls decided to invite the South Florida Bulls up to North Philly for a themed dance. It was whiteout night at the Liacouras Center, and the matchup drew the largest crowd for the Owls all season, with more than 4,000 fans in attendance. The Owls were coming off an overtime loss to Charlotte 3 days earlier, so they were hungry for another American Conference win, and got it thanks to an unlikely hero. It's a Saturday, it's 8 p.m. Temps outside in the teens, and the Temple Owls are taking on the South Florida Bulls. After some free throws early in the first, Owls are up 7-2, but USF kickstarts it with the alley pass to guard Josh Omojafo. Aiden Tobiasen showing some aggression, drives and gets the layup to go over two USF defenders. Later in the half, Owls still up 19-8 when Wes Ennis gets the tipped inbound pass to the corner and drains the three, cutting into the lead 19-11. Darian Ford gets to his spot on the floor and cashes the 19-foot mid-range. After this, someone must have left a window open because the Owls went ice cold for almost 3 minutes without a bucket as guard Devin Hade for the Bulls gets the layup to fall and gets the call to the line. The Bulls are suddenly up 32-30. Aiden Tobiasen, however, doesn't let it get out of hand. He puts the nasty two-handed slam off the alley from Griffiths. Just 10 seconds left. Messiah Gilliard attacks and gets the bucket to fall. They take the lead before half, 39-38.
Quick start to the second has USF up 4. The start wouldn't last much longer. This Darian Ford 3 kicks off a 13-0 run for Temple. Later in the second, Temple up 7. Wes Ennis had a huge outing for USF, notching 17, including this tough spin move bucket. We saw Griffiths find Ford for 3. It's time for Ford to return the favor. Goggle grab knocks down the 27-footer. Owls lead back up to 5. And not even a minute later, Ford finds another Owl. This time it's Aiden Tobiasen. Toby knocks down the mid-range and has Temple up 7. But what goes up must come down. And with Temple leads, it almost always does. Joe Pinion nails his third three-pointer of the half to knot the game at 73. Under 30 to go. Check this out. Isaiah Nelson sends it in. The go-ahead alley-oop from C.J. Brown. 1-point lead for USF. 10 seconds to play. Temple playing to win. Ford puts up the foul line, Jay, but have no fear. Mo Keita is here. He cleans up the miss. A last-second exhilarating whiteout win for the Owls. Final score 79-78. For USF, Saturday's loss was a frustrating one. When 4 starters record double-digit scoring and Isaiah Nelson, a 70% foul shooter, goes 10 of 12 from the line, it typically results in a win. But Saturday's game was anything but typical. Need proof? Look no further than the hero for Temple, Mo Keita. Prior to Saturday, Keita was just 1 for 6 from the foul line on the season. And 38 seconds left, down 1. Mo at the line. What does he do? Just what everyone expected, of course. He knocked down both. His free throw percentage jumped from 17% to 37% in a matter of seconds. It's only fitting that in an unlikely win, and a huge effort came from an unlikely player.
posted a water screen for.
Don't give it away.
Yes. Oh, sorry. So yeah, it was perfect. Coach told me to crash the board when before shooting, so I just crashed, and I'm happy it came on my way, and I started.
Yeah, I think we all know, like, if your shot's not falling, keep shooting, and just keep playing defense. I think that's something we harp on the most is defense, because that's something you can control, So even though the shot's not falling, you gotta keep playing defense, and we all trust each other.
We needed to be tougher. We needed to be tougher for 40 minutes. Sometimes when you say the team's not tough, it doesn't tell the whole story. So I thought we had to be tougher tonight for 40 minutes or however long it takes. And I thought our guys really responded. I thought our guards did a nice job. I thought Swish Gilliard was fantastic, getting us extra possessions, making some key plays. And when you have that contributions from so many guys, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, I thought we were really crisp in the first half, forcing them to play more zone than they've done all year. And I thought in the second half, too, same thing. And, look, you're playing a team that can score as quick as anybody, right? So you tell your team they're going to go on a run. They are. At some point they are. And I thought we did a great job of handling their runs and responding. Like, heads don't drop. Pinion hits a tough threes, right? Like, it's next play. But again, I think our defense leads to our offense being better. And I thought our activity was excellent.
By the way, Coach Fisher's drip with the nice suit was intentional. This past week was Coaches versus Cancer Suits and Sneakers Week, which Coach Fisher and staff obviously took to a whole new level. The Owls now move to 9-3 at home this season, and they got that 9th win on Whiteout Night. At the game was our beat reporter Haley Smith, who has more on what this bounce-back win means. Haley, take it away.
Hey guys. Temple came into Saturday's game looking for redemption after that overtime loss to Charlotte. You mentioned the whiteout game. It was exactly what the Owls needed in what was really a must-game win if they wanted to stay within arm's reach of the top spot in the American. Temple men's basketball has faced the best of times and the worst of times so far this season, often just days apart. Last week was a prime example. Temple blew a late lead and lost to Charlotte at home in overtime. 3 days later, the Owls bounced back with this last-second tip-in to beat South Florida. It's an example of that old cliche coming true. Play one game at a time.
We said tonight before we took the court, enjoy playing with your friends.
The Owls have done a great job this season bouncing back from heartbreaking losses. The one from St. Joe's and FAU, and then there's the one from Charlotte. In all three, the Owls responded with vital wins.
We all know how crushing of a defeat the other night was, right? We played well, but not well enough to win that game. And the response, to be able to come back and have a great attitude in the film session Thursday, right? And then to have a great practice yesterday, to have a shoot around today, the attention to detail I thought was fantastic.
I think we all know, like, if your shot's not falling, keep shooting, and just keep playing defense.
Temple picked a good night to bounce back. More than 4,000 fans came into the Liacouras Center, the most at home this season.
I thought our student section was awesome. I hope they see this and will keep coming out. But that crowd, we had alumni in there. I mean, it was awesome. When you have that atmosphere, it creates a home court advantage.
On my visit, I had the Cherry and White Night, and just seeing that and seeing what I was going to be a part of, it just live for those moments. So.
And then these guys won it. I mean, this was unbelievable. These guys made plays. Guys stepped up. Again, just so proud of these guys. They earned it.
The Owls have battled through countless close games, but enough of those games have ended in wins to keep Temple near the top of the American with about 1 month left in the regular season.
So, Haley, obviously when a player like Mo Keita has a surprise performance like he did, it's really easy to get caught up in that moment and those emotions. But outside of Mo, who stood out to you on Saturday?
Mo definitely stepped up when it mattered for the Owls, but Aiden Tobiasen was there all along. He played 39 minutes, which was more than any player on the court. He was also the Owls' leading scorer with 22 points, which is just one bucket away from exceeding his highest scoring game this season.
And Haley, this was the largest crowd the Owls pulled all season at the Liacouras Center. Are there any other games that you have marked on that calendar that can maybe come close to the scene or vibe that we saw on Saturday?
Yes, Saturday's game is definitely going to be hard to beat, but I have my eye on UAB later this month, February 18th. Both teams are 14-8 overall so far, so that might end up being another must-win for the Owls.
Thanks, Haley. Really good stuff, as always. We'll take it from here. We'll do our best to. Anyways,
Right.
So Saturday, you and I are both really tapped in on Temple Twitter. We're active on social media.
course.
We see what people are saying. It's part of the job. It's not an overreaction to say that Saturday's win, considering where they are in the standings, and after last Wednesday's loss, was a season-saving win.
Well, absolutely, and I think that one of the bigger storylines coming from this, obviously, is the Mo Keita storyline. You're saying Mo Keita, I say Mo Minutes, because I think we really need to have a conversation about what's going on with that center rotation at that 5-man depth, because I think that when you look at, there's just way too much foul trouble.
Right.
Not Swish Gilliard.
Not
even though
Swish. He would never do that.
Right, and he is getting his own boards. But we're
We'll get
looking
to
at
that
guys
later.
like Babatunde, and we're looking at guys like Jemai Felt. They're fouling out so early, and they're collecting so many fouls so early in this game that they're forced to rely on guys like Mo Keita. Now, did Mo Keita step up to the challenge? Absolutely. Did Mo Keita practically win them this game against USF? Absolutely. But it shouldn't have to come to that point. You shouldn't be down to the third guy in your depth stream because your other two centers are already fouled out.
Well, how many more times are going to be able to say this, right? Like, I feel like it's going to be the same thing over and over and over again, just with the roster construction, but where Temple is within college basketball, it's going to be a problem for years to come. Let's talk about Swish, though. My guy, my favorite player on the team. What more can be said about him, right? He comes off the bench, 13.6 rebounds, 4 of them coming on the offensive end on 4 of 7 shooting. What more can be said about him as a player? I mean, just a spark plug. Adam Fisher said, I thought he was terrific. I agree. I truly agree. He's the biggest advantage bringer, his rebounding. We talked about this last night.
Yeah.
His offensive rebounding is the single biggest advantage bringer to Temple basketball of any single ability anybody has on the team. I think it's more helpful than Gavin Griffith's shooting, than Gavin Griffith's shot blocking, than even Darian Ford's foul baiting, which I know that you're much higher on. So I'm interested to hear what you think about that take.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously very high on Darian Ford's ability, which, by the way, he was playing against his former Arkansas State head coach,
Brian Hodgson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was playing against some interesting little matchup there. But Darian Ford, I think that the drawing ability is so huge because it's just another example of just value all over the offensive side for this team. And one guy we have to talk about, who we've been mentioning a little bit, is Aiden Tobias. And I think we've been mentioning him, how we wanted to see him kind of take a more aggressive offensive role. I think we've seen him really flesh himself out in those defensive and in those rebounding sort of roles. But Aiden Tobias had 0 rebounds this night. He had 22 points. It was his 4th 20-point game all season. So it's like you said, there's just absolutely value all over the court.
Yeah, and with the 0 rebound stat, it's kind of interesting, right? For me, I've always looked as Aiden Tobias, and especially when you have Swish on the floor or Gavin Griffiths on the floor, he's not really expected to get that many rebounds in that situation. I'd say Darian Ford's a better rebounder than him. So when I see the 0 rebound stat at first, it's like, wait, really? But then you watch back the game and you realize the role that he's playing. It makes a lot of sense. But obviously, you're really high on Darian's foul baiting ability. And honestly, that is where the pro game has moved, right? So that will buy him a contract. That will get him overseas, maybe even here in the States, stateside in the G League. Maybe the NBA at some point. Who knows? Who knows? But it's time to shift our focus to this weekend. The Owls' next game, this coming Saturday, the Owls will fly south for another battle with East Carolina, this time in Greenville. They got about 12 inches of snow this weekend, by the way. Hopefully they're okay. In recent history, Temple's luck at Minges Coliseum has been less than stellar. The last Temple win at East Carolina came just over 3 years ago in December of 2022. And for Temple, a lot has changed since. Not one single member of the 2022-23 Owls squad, player or coach, is still with the program today. Saturday's matchup is slated for a 12 p.m. tip-off and can be watched on ESPNU.
You thought the men's game was close. It was anything but easy for the Big Easy for the women's team. The Owls needed overtime against Tulane. We'll take a look back, and we'll also be taking a look ahead at the Owls' next opponent. Courts is back in 90.
It's Saturday night in the Big Easy, taking on Tulane, and it was another big night for KT offensively. Here she lays in her 3rd of 10 made shots on the night. She finished with 27, End of the first, Tulane needs a bucket. Kenija Daniel calls glass on the high arcing elbow J to close the quarter down. Temple went nearly 6 minutes without a bucket, a run that comes to a close now. Tristan Turner lines up the three and knocks it down. Temple up 4. Next possession, it's Daniel again, and she somehow converts on this wild fall-away layup to cut the Temple lead to 1 score. Turner's nice first quarter leaked into the second, knocking down her first 3 on the evening. Temple closes out the half up 1, taking the lead to the break.
Jumping into the second half, Owls are still up, and Kayla Turner continues the scoring night as the 8-foot pull-up jumper falls. Turner will just shoot until her arms fall off. End of the third, a clean transition pass gets it to freshman Michaela Marshall, who finishes the reverse layup. End of the fourth now, less than 20 ticks remain. Turner at the top of the key, works inside, draws the triple team, finds Craig in the paint, and she converts the layup. Owls up 3 with just 13 to go. 1 defensive stop can end it for the Owls. Guard Kenija Daniels has it up the court for the Green Wave. Daniels pump fakes, puts the shot up, and drills the game-tying 3, and we officially have overtime. Jumping right into OT now, the Owls are down just 2 points and have possession. Tristan Taylor's 7-foot pull-up gets swatted down by Amira Mabry. Green Wave now have the ball in transition. Good ball movement gets it to Kenija Daniels, who has 1 foot in France with that Euro step, Pat.
Temple down 4. Need a tray ball? Check Craigslist. Sanaya Craig makes it a 1-score game with the triple.
Green Wave now showing great patience and more great ball movement again. Kendall Sneed gets the rock at the top of the key and just whips it to Dylan Hanna on the inside, who gets the layup to go.
Temple and Tulane taking turns in the driver's seat. It's Tulane's turn now. Hanna finishes inside again, and Tulane leads. Tie game, 11 seconds to play. Tulane with a chance to win, but it's taken away by KT. Jaleesa Molina gives the Owls the lead for good.
Last possession for Tulane now. Daniels driving to the rim, puts it up, and it won't fall. The Temple Owls took their time, but got the dub. Final score, 67-65. The Owls were able to secure the nail-biting win because of their refusal to stop shooting. Their 71 field goal attempts ties a season high. Kayla Turner, of course, led the way for the Owls, going 10 of 17 from the field with 27 points. She also had the most minutes of any player on the court with 44. Sanaya Craig was the ensemble for Turner with 16 points and 8 rebounds. Dylan Hanna for the Green Wave had 23 points and went 11 of 13 from the field, but it wasn't enough to take down the Owls. Temple walks away with the win, 67-65.
Saturday was a huge night for Kayla Turner, and not just because of her game-high 27 points. With about 4 minutes to play in the first half, the junior guard knocked down a 3 to join the 1K club. Turner, who started her career at Alabama A&M, reached the milestone in 82 games, averaging about 12 points per game in that span. She becomes the 4th Temple Owl on both the men's and the women's side to reach the 1,000-point mark this season. So obviously, a lot of, milestones coming for Temple women's basketball. Thrilling wins, crushing defeats. Kayla Turner scoring 1,000 points. The last 10 days or so have just been a whirlwind for that program.
Yeah, it's honestly, the last 10 days have kind of felt like the Kayla Turner show. I think we're starting to see her break these records because we said it earlier, but her just refusal to stop shooting. She has the green light at any given moment on the court. She had 27 points on 10 of 17, on 44 minutes on the court. So Kayla Turner's not out here taking breaks. She's on the court constantly, and she's constantly putting up buckets. But one thing I think that the Temple women's team should really start to look for is just a more true and defined second option. I think you can't put the entire game in the hands of someone like Kayla Turner. I think we can see a Jaleesa Molina dominate a little bit more offensively. She has great value. She has 4 steals, a block, 3 assists, 13 boards. She's bringing value to the court, but I just think that there needs to be more offensive value to help out someone like Kayla Turner.
Yeah, I'm with you there, 100%, X-Man. The only other person that you can really rely on night in and night out to give Kayla Turner some help is Tristan Turner. But even then, against Rice last week, she only had 16 points on Wednesday night. Not 16, 6 points on Wednesday night after averaging 21 points per game for 3 games in a row. So you just need a little bit more consistency from the supporting cast, and especially with their upcoming schedule. They play North Texas, who's in 5th, UTSA, who's in 6th, East Carolina, who's in 2nd. You can see that right there behind us, and Charlotte, who's in 9th. Temple currently stands in 7th place in the American Conference. So it's either get busy swimming or get busy dying for Temple women's basketball. You can make your season here because only the top 10 teams in the American Conference get in to the conference tournament hosted in Birmingham this year. So for them, the next couple of games, they really got to get the ante up and start stepping up to help out KT.
Absolutely, and the supporting cast is going to need to up the ante too. Tulane's bench had 10 points compared to only Temple's 3. You know, it's a quick little summary size, not that many points being shared there, but it's just an example of how they're not just getting much help from those starting five. Yeah, Kayla Turner is going to get tired. It's going to happen eventually. You can't throw her out there for 40 minutes every night and expect her to consistently drop
it's
30.
worked so far.
So far, but it's not going to work forever, especially if they have those hopes higher at something such as a postseason tournament.
And you talked about the refusal to shoot in that game, and
Stop shooting.
Yeah, the refusal to stop shooting in that game. I'm not so sure if it was good defense by both teams or if it was really, really bad offense. It was a really, I don't want to say hard to watch, but the offenses, it didn't seem like they were getting into sets and getting clean looks. You know, somebody's got to put it up, right? Somebody's got to shoot it. And for Tulane, you got to be kicking yourself. You lose this game in overtime. You head to regulation. You miss 4 foul shots going 8 of 12. That can't happen. You win that game with 1 or 2 makes. So that's something, you know, that they've got to be losing sleep over here heading forward.
Absolutely. Well, from a win over the Green Wave to a game against the Mean Green, the women's next matchup comes this Saturday when the Owls take on the North Texas Mean Green, who are ranked 5th currently in the American Conference. This matchup will also be taking place in North Philly at the Liacouras Center, where the Owls are 7-2. While the women sail away with a win over the Green Wave, we'll set sail into another break.
When Quartz returns, we'll be debuting a brand new question segment. Hopefully X-Man and I are on our A game.
Somewhat.
We're back in 90. Welcome back to Courts in Session. We're shaking things up a bit here at TV3. We have a brand new segment for you all.
We sure do. Our lovely producers have prepared some questions for us about Temple basketball that we'll be giving our raw and blind thoughts on, and boy, are we excited. So, Director Logan, go ahead and hit us with that first one.
All right, here it is. Will the men's team win 20-plus games this season? Yes. The only 2 games left this season against KenPom, top 100 ranked opponents, come at Wichita State and at Florida Atlantic. Right now, they have 9 games left. If they go 7-2 in that stretch, they're currently 13-8. I see them going with 20 wins for this season. X-Man?
I'll chase you there real quick.
Okay.
I like the momentum that they have. I think they've been building a lot. I think the American Conference momentum specifically. I think that we will see them continue to strive for the top of that spot. Question 2 now. Will the women's team finish above .500 this season? Now, another bit of a tricky one, but I'm going to actually say yes here, Pat.
Okay.
I know that the women's team have been very spotty, but I'll tell you what, I believe in Coach Diane Richardson, and I believe in her ability to rally a team. I think we've seen it just within the last 2 weeks. They had a terrible couple games losing skid. Now they're suddenly getting some close, risky wins. They're not exactly where they need to be, but the Temple women's team is producing.
Yeah, I already talked about their next 3 games in the previous segment where I talked about how they're playing UTSA, ECU, Charlotte, teams that really surround them in the standings. You come out of that stretch where there are 4 games with surrounding opponents. You come out of that 3-1, 2-2. I think that they'll be just fine. I think that they will finish around 500. I'll say that they'll finish exactly 500.
Exactly 500.
Exactly 500.
That might be harder.
It could be.
Well, question 3.
The men's team will win the regular season conference title if this happens. If Florida Atlantic starts to lose some games, their schedule a little bit harder than Temple going forward, and when Charlotte finally falls down from the sun, it feels like they're Icarus. They really didn't have that great of a non-conference slate, but in American Conference play, 7-2, atop of the conference, they need those 2 teams to fumble, and Temple needs to go 1-1 against Wichita State and Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, no, I'll just fill in the blank by saying if the bigs step up. I think that that's the biggest thing. I think that this team possesses so many great capabilities, offensive, defensive, even defensively. Guys like Gavin Griffiths, he'll go up there and block a couple shots a game. I think that this team has so many weapons. I think that their biggest and most gaping flaw that will be exploited the most every time they play a game is that center position, is that 5.
And question 4.
Yes or no, Kayla Turner wins American Conference Player of the Year. It is a tough one. I'm going to have to say no. I think that I like Kayla Turner. I just don't know if they're able to produce the amount of wins because it is kind of a political.
I guess.
It's a little bit political. You need to get more wins in order to really get a look at those sort of awards. And I just don't know if they'll be able to squeak out exactly enough wins to be able to kind of push her in that award category.
Game on the line. Who do you want the ball? Who do you want the ball to be in the hands of?
Kayla Turner.
Right.
Of course.
Like, to me, that's the biggest aspect of this award, because obviously Temple isn't doing that well this season compared to how they have been the last 2 seasons. But to me, think of it this way. Where would they be without her?
Right.
Way lower. They would be in a way worse position. I would feel a little less confident without her on the floor for Temple women's basketball. I'm going to say yes, a little homerism there, but I feel really good about that pick.
Absolutely. Well, those are our 4 blind questions for the week. A fun, brand new little segment we have. Now we can actually start reading the teleprompter again. We are up against yet another break.
Thank goodness for the prompter. When we return, we're making our picks for the next men's and women's games. Courts is back in 90. Welcome back. Some viewers may remember from the fall that yours truly is the reigning Tuesday show prediction champion, but that was football. So I'm obviously delighted to share that we're running it back for the winter with some basketball. And our crew has done our homework on both the men's and women's upcoming opponents this week and are ready to share our thoughts and our picks. Xavier and I will start with the men's squad. X-Man, tip us off.
I got us. So for the fellas, I'm actually going to have to go with Temple taking down ECU, but I'm not sure if it's as convincing as a lot of people really think. Temple, without a doubt, has the better offensive firepower and the ability to score, averaging almost 6 more points a game than the Pirates. However, one thing we are going to have to keep an eye on is the interior rebounding battle. ECU is only averaging about 2 more boards a game than the Owls, but with the recent foul trouble and with the big man play not being too stellar as of late, the Owls could have more trouble on their hands than they realize. The big fellas are going to have to step up for this one to be a convincing win. I'll take them by maybe 5 points. Pat, what say you?
I'll say something similar. I also have Temple handling business in Greenville, and the Owls fly north with a win, but not by much. Remember, the Owls' last 8 games have been decided by 8 points or less. It's never easy. I want to focus on one aspect of ECU's offense, the pick and roll. It's the simple yet most effective action in basketball, and Temple has struggled mightily against it. Boston College, Florida Atlantic, Charlotte, UCSD, and South Florida specifically have really opened my eyes to how much this team struggles against it. If ECU can get an effective 2-man game going with Jordan Riley and Giovanni Emejuru, or Isaiah Mbang and Emejuru, it'll be a close game. I have the Owls by 3 over ECU. Let's jump to the women's squad where Haley and Tamar will share their wisdom. Haley, let's hear it.
Yes, the women will be taking on North Texas on Saturday, and I'm going to fall in line and predict another win for the Owls. Both teams are averaging about 70 points per game. One difference is that North Texas looks much better on defense. That against the fact that Temple is 7-2 at home and coming off an overtime win over the weekend, I see the Owls winning another close one. They've all been close, but I think this one's going to be within 3. Tamar, what's your pick?
When it comes to Temple versus North Texas, I think this will be a close game. I think this matchup will come down to the rebounding battle and the most dominant paint presence in the American, Megan Nestor. Temple has to put a body on Nestor and may even double team her and force her into multiple turnovers in the paint, as she is averaging almost 3 turnovers per game, as well as converting from the free throw line. North Texas is one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the American. If this game comes down to the free throw line, I am confident in the Owls. That's how they beat Charlotte a couple weeks back. If Temple can neutralize Nestor, take care of the ball, and hit his free throws, I have the Owls coming out with the win at the Liacouras Center. I have the Owls winning by 3. It's that time again, break time. When Courts in Session comes back, I'll make my selections for American Conference men's and women's all-star starters, the best of the very best. Courts in Session will be back in 90. Welcome back. It's February, and you know what that means. The NBA All-Star Game is right around the corner. So here at Courts in Session, we decided to make our own American Conference men's and women's all-star starting lineup. First, the men. At the 1, I have 5'11" senior Doug McDaniel out of Memphis, averaging just under 14 points and 5 assists while leading the American in steals with 2 per game, shooting 40% from the field and 35% from the perimeter as well. Doug is an absolute engine for this Tiger squad. At the 2, I have the Ford locomotive himself, Darian Ford. The 6'3" senior is averaging 18 points and 4 rebounds, shooting over 40% from the field. Ford is the ultimate utility guy for the Isles, being effective almost anywhere on the floor, combined with a strong frame, makes him very tough to guard. At the 3, I have the American Conference preseason player of the year, 6'4" junior Rowan Brumbar out of Tulane, averaging just under 20 points per game, slightly under 5 rebounds per game, 3 assists, and a hair under 2 steals, leading the entire team in those categories as well. Rowan can definitely shoot it from downtown. Look at that. At the 4, I have 6'7" senior David Green out of Tulsa, averaging 16 points and 5 rebounds for the number 1 seeded team in the American. Green is not afraid to push the pace in transition and rock the rim. He has an open lane, causing havoc on the hard wood. And at the 5 for the men, I have the 6'10" out of USF senior Isaiah Nelson, averaging 15 points and 10 rebounds, an absolute double-double machine. Nelson is second in the nation in double-doubles at 15, a pick-and-roll nightmare and a lob threat at all times. Nelson uses his athleticism to go get up there and get that dunk. Now let's move on to the women's American Conference All-Stars. At the 1, I have Kennedy Fauntleroy, 5'7" senior out of East Carolina, averaging 13 points and 4 assists and just under 3 steals per game. Fauntleroy leads the entire American in steals. She absolutely shines in a pick and roll, and just like a pirate, she'll steal the rock right from you. At the 2, I have the leading scorer in the American, 5'6" junior Kayla Turner out of Temple, averaging just under 18 points per game, 3 rebounds and 2 assists, while shooting above 40% from the field and the three-point line. Turner will absolutely light any opponent up from 3. Her shot-making ability and quick first step makes her one of the most dynamic guards in the Americans. At the 3, I have Miss Jack of all trades, the 6'1" junior Haley Adams out of Rice, averaging 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists, and a little under 2 blocks per game. Adams leads the entire American in blocks per game. She's a key reason Rice is undefeated in American Conference games. At the 4, I have 6'1" senior Hannah Riddick out of Tulsa, averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, and slightly under 50% from the field. Riddick is a strong driving to the basket, especially in the mid-post, which makes her a major factor for the Golden Hurricane on the offensive side of the floor. And at the 5, I have the most imposing force in the entire American, the 6'3" senior Megan Nestor out of North Texas, averaging a double-double at 12 points and 13 rebounds, 7 in the nation in double-doubles at 13 on the season, while shooting above 50% from the field. Nestor leads the entire American in rebounds. You know what? Scratch that, never mind. She leads the entire country in rebounds. And these players are my American Conference All-Stars. They have shown not only production in the stat sheet, but production in the win column as well. With the final third of the regular season underway, I'm Tamar Stubbs reporting from the studio set. I'll pass it to Pat and Xavier at the desk.
Good pass, Tamar. Really good dish. And it's now time for our final break of the show. But don't leave us just yet.
The best is yet to come in the Pulse Check, the weekly segment where Pat and I take a long and hard gander at the surrounding world of college basketball. Courts is back in 90.
Welcome back to Courts in Session. Final segment of the show. You know what that means, X-Man.
I sure do, Sir Patrick. It's once again time for the Pulse Check, the weekly segment where we break down all of the exciting news from around college basketball. Pat, so to start, we have to talk about Kansas versus BYU, a.k.a. the Darren Peterson versus A.J. Dybantsa battle. And Kansas obviously comes away with the win 90-82 in the 1,000th game at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, pay heed all who enter. She don't want no puppy. She want a big dog. A.J. Dybantsa shriveled under the pressure, only 17 points. Darren Peterson outscored him in the first half alone, only played three minutes of the second half. Obviously something he struggled with all year. That's something that he needs to monitor going forward as we get to draft season.
Yeah, no, he had 18 points in 20 minutes. Kansas is
because he's the best player in the country.
Yeah, we were looking at 2 of them in that matchup. But moving things on to more of some of the great teams in the country, we have to look at 2 of the only undefeated teams left in the country. One of them is Arizona, and the other one is Miami, Ohio. Now, we've been talking a bit. You know how big I am on Arizona and that straight bully ball that they've been playing. They played Arizona State, and they won that game. That gives them 22 straight wins. Now, Arizona State actually played a bit of a scrappy game. You know, they weren't just lying down and getting rolled over, but I don't think there was really a chance Arizona ever lost that
Yeah,
game.
Arizona State isn't good. Bobby Hurley's time in Tempe's running out. He'll surely be fired this offseason. But moving on to Miami of Ohio, Travis Steele. They play Buffalo tonight. It should be a really fun game. The last time they played, they went to double overtime. 2 buzzer beaters in that one. Keep your eye out in Ohio.
Yeah, there was 47 rebounds to 32 rebounds. I just had to mention that with the Arizona and Arizona State game. Now, moving thing on, Pat.
We're not talking about this.
I know you've been waiting all week long to talk about your Nebraska.
It never happened.
Nebraska basketball has lost 2 games. The slip started at Michigan.
Nope.
Now they lost to Illinois. Illinois is kind of on a revenge tour. They have 11 straight wins, and their last loss, believe it or not, was December 13th against Nebraska.
We're moving on to the women's.
I don't know if we can.
Yes, we are. We're moving on. UConn stays undefeated, takes down Tennessee over the weekend. Their last real test of the regular season. The best team in the country stays hot. This is the best I've seen them since 2015-16 when they went 38-0. They had, Breonna Stewart, Mariah Jefferson, Katie Lou Samuelson, Morgan Tuck, just running teams out of the gym. They're partying like it's 2015 in Connecticut right now, as they should be.
Yeah, this 96-66 score win was the worst loss Tennessee's had in the entire time. In the entire time they've been playing that rivalry, and that's with Tennessee even doing that cool kind of constant subbing, constant defensive pressure sort of game plan approach that they have. They just can't. I don't think anybody can stop UConn on the women's side of things.
Let's move out to Michigan. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. They take down Michigan State in men's basketball and women's basketball this weekend. Overtime, a huge win for the Michigan women. Obviously, they play UCLA next week.
There were 17 lead changes and 13 ties, and they have a rematch February 15th that you will want to mark your calendars for. I have to see that one.
Yeah, they take on UCLA later this week. Number 2 team in America should be fun.
That is all the time we have for today's episode of Courts in Session. As always, I'm Xavier Adams alongside Pat Dallahan.
Be sure to tune in right here on TUTV on Thursday at noon to catch another edition of Owl Sports Update. And for all the latest on Temple Athletics, give us a follow on our socials at Owl Sports Update.
From our crew here in the friendly confines of TV Studio 3, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.